I'm building my dream R32 Skyline, which has gone from this to this and now this. I've installed con rods, forged pistons, painted the entire car and engine bay, and today we're going to get more of this thing assembled and be one step closer to this. This build has taken way too long, so let's get started.
I got a really important package. I just got this in the mail all the way from America, the USA. And you know what this is? This is a bunch of wiring. How cool. So today we'll be continuing work on the RB25 that's going into the R32, and we need to install a wiring harness in order to work with the car. And that's where Wiring Specialties come in.
Wiring Specialties have sent me out their RB25 Neo plug and play harness that's gonna plug literally into my RB25 into my R32. And they do all sorts of conversion harnesses. For the RB25 Neo, they've got all these options, so you could put the RB25 into all of these cars, and you can also customize your harness according to what modifications you've done. And like I said, they're plug and play. So we're gonna put that to the test.
Now, I forgot about this, but every single wire is labeled as well, which is crazy. So we've got number 6 for the 6th injector, number 5, idle air control valve, bunch of grounds over here, beautifully crimped.
So if you're in need of a wiring harness for your project car, if you want to do an engine swap, go to Wiring Specialties. They probably have a harness that's plug and play for you.
The next thing that we need to do is figure out all the turbo lines. So we've got the coolant line, we've got the oil feed and the oil drain. That's why I've got the turbo on this angle right now, because I'm just playing with all the fittings on the actual core itself. But yeah, I'm gonna try to start making some lines and hopefully we can get it all done.
This turbo is lubricated with oil and also water cooled like most turbos. So we need to run lines for the oil feed, oil drain, and coolant feed and coolant return. I'm converting everything to AN fittings. I've got a -10 fitting for the block. As you can see, it's screwed in, and that replaces the standard rubber pipe that these engines come with. And to make everything easier, I rotated the turbo in order to get to the drain. Because I'm running a -10 fitting to the block, I'm also going to be putting a -10 fitting on the back of the turbo. Now I'm going to start off with the water return line, and in order to convert that to a -6 fitting, I've got this special fitting from Raceworks that screws directly into the block. We've got heaps of Raceworks lines, all in stock, which is pretty crazy. We're using a PTFE Raceworks line, and I'm going to show you how I make it. The first step is obviously to figure out exactly what length you want, and then I use an angle grinder to chop the line off to the desired length, and I find that to be the easiest way to do this. With PTFE lines, you slide the fitting on first, and then you put this olive piece in over the PTFE line and smack it down, then put your fitting on and then tighten everything.
I was gonna do B-roll of every single line, but I just wanted to get all of this done. We've got our oil feed. You can see it goes all the way down to this little regulator block slash filter. So this is our TurboSmart OPR, and this will essentially regulate the oil pressure going to the turbo. We're gonna mount it in a nice position somewhere there, but for now we don't have a bracket, so it's just chilling there. But that goes all the way to the block up behind the exhaust manifold. We've also got our water feed that goes all the way to the block right there with that little fitting. And then we have our oil return, which goes from the other side of the turbo just over there. There's our -6 fitting right there. This one will also have heat sleeving, but I ran out, so need to hit up Raceworks again. You can see it goes all the way to this hard line at the back of the head right there. I sort of just created my own line with the old RB20 line, just welded up this little bit that we're not going to be using, and that goes down into a little distribution block thingo, which I'll show you in a sec. So this is the standard RB20 hose, and I also blocked it off, and we ran an RB20 heater core line going from that, and that will go to the heater core. The turbo feed also comes off that pipe, and that goes into the block just there. I know it's probably hard to visualize because there's just so much stuff here, and trust me, it's the same for me. And there is another port on the front of the block, and I've just put a 90 there to one of the old RB20 lines. Pretty janky, but it's gonna work, and that is gonna go all the way up to this line. And then this line goes all the way to the heater core. Rex, what is this line? Like, where did you get this? Because this is not a standard RB25 Nissan hose. Trying to simplify the underside of the intake manifold where all the coolant lines go is very difficult unless you do custom everything. I didn't want to convert everything to -8 fittings because it would just make the whole job very tricky to do. So I pieced together all these coolant lines using 1FZFE parts from the Toyota Land Cruiser 80 series. So because I had 2 engines for the Land Cruiser, I've got all the spare parts underneath here. And I've just been, grabbing and using pieces of the cooling system from the 1FZ, and I was able to find this line. So I've got Toyota parts on my Nissan RB25. Look what Peter has brought.
New toy.
Doggy! Zoe! Shop dog. Oh my God, so cute. Hey! You thirsty? You want some coolant?
80W90.
Another thing that I've done is I've also used a stainless steel bendy hose for the drain. And I'll get a close up in a second, but I decided to do this because it's very close to this manifold. And I could use just normal regular Raceworks line and put some heat shielding over that, but I think this is gonna work just ever so slightly better. So seen a lot of people use these, but need to figure out a better way of actually mounting it because we don't want this thing vibrating around.
At this point, the RB25 is basically complete, just missing a few accessories. The engine is essentially now ready to be installed. I just need to do a few more things in the bay, and then it's going in.
Now this is a metal fuel filter, and you want a metal fuel filter if you are running ethanol, because if you're using a paper one, ethanol will break down that paper. So I got this, it flows one way, and I'm gonna mount it in the factory location and then try to run some lines before I put the engine in, otherwise it's gonna be very difficult to do so. Hopefully this makes sense to you guys, but we've got the feed line that's coming up to the fuel filter, and that is gonna go to the rail. Then off the rail, it's gonna go to fuel pressure regulator, just on the left side there, and then down to the ethanol content sensor.
So here's the paint explanation. I've got the fuel tank, the feed line, and the return line. Then we've got the fuel rail and the fuel filter, the fuel pressure regulator, and then the ethanol content sensor. And this is how we're running our fuel system. The regulator and ethanol content sensor go in the return, and that's exactly how we've run our lines.
Anyway, we are now gonna delete all the Hiker stuff. So I'm gonna start deleting all these lines, and I guess I'll get back to you.
I've been meaning to do this, but we are deleting Hikers, so we're not running rear wheel steering. So I'm taking out all the unnecessary lines in the engine bay in order to clean everything up as well.
Look at this, guys. If you drop something underneath your car in a hoist, you press a green button, it goes up. So good, so much better than working on the ground. Got the engine crane out. You know what that means, guys.
It means that it's now time to install the RB25 Neo, hopefully for the last time.
Engine is about to go in, and look who I've got helping me.
I don't want to be here, I want to go home.
And look who we've somehow roped in. A wild Mason has appeared. Perfect timing.
Never will. This is bolted together.
Oh yeah, it is. You can pull on that. Check this out, guys. The engine is now installed, and I think this is for good. We've done all the lines and all the stuff that we needed to do outside of the car, and it is looking so good. It's actually the next day, and I decided to install a few more things off camera. We've got the boost solenoid right there mounted onto the strut tower, and the wiring specialties harness with the boost solenoid. As you can see, boost solenoid wiring that is going to there. So got to wire that up. What I want to do is I want to connect up everything, get the wiring harness all through to the cabin, and then connect up the Haltech ECU, and then try to see if I can put power to the engine. Even though the transmission is not in yet, I just want to see if it all is sort of going to work.
With the engine installed, it was finally time to route all the wiring harness through to the cabin and install the Haltech. Luckily, this is a plug and play harness, so everything just plugs in and routes correctly.
Well, that was a little bit tricky, but we got everything plugged up now. Got the wires all connected up to the ECU, as well as the Haltech special cable. Look at that, it even has Haltech on the cable. Not too sure if you're gonna be able to see that, but that will go into our laptop, And all I need to do is basically give the car power, and then hopefully we should be able to load up a tune or something. Everything is now connected up. The Haltech is plugged in to my laptop. There's that yellow cable coming all the way down. Here's the laptop, and we just installed the Nexus software. So I have no idea how to use any of this stuff. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of research. So I'll get back to you in a second. I've also connected up the battery. Check this out, pretty jank, but we've got a distribution block here going down to a battery. That goes to the positive, and the negative is just on the chassis. So pretty dodge, but should work fine. And also, now that we have everything connected up, when I turn the key, look at this. We have lights on the dash, boys. Look at that. Wow, cuz. I'm gonna see if I can load up a standard tune on the RB25 for the R32 and see how we go. I thought that the Haltech software wasn't working, but that is because I hadn't got this plugged in. So now it's plugged in, we are now connected to the ECU, connected immediately. Oh God, all right. So we've got a bunch more that we need to do, guys. A lot of stuff happens behind the scenes, and I've got Chloe with me right now. I'm gonna run some errands. I need to pick some more stuff up for the Skyline. All right, guys, we are now at JCar. This is the kind of stuff that you don't really see. This is the behind the scenes stuff. So got a bunch of relays, heat shrink. I got this like special crimping tool, hydraulic crimping tool, some battery terminals because we are mounting the battery in the boot, some cables, a lot of random stuff. Let's head back to the shop. We're back at the shop now, got everything from JCar, and we're gonna install the battery in the boot. I know this video is a lot of just small, mundane stuff, but this is what is involved when you're building a car. Like, there's just so many small little things that just take up so much time, and I wanna get this car done, so I'm literally just recording absolutely everything. We're gonna be installing the battery in the boot. I don't have a mount for it yet, so I'm just gonna throw it in there, and yeah, do the fuel pump relay and a bunch of other little things. So it's been a few hours. We now have the battery relocated in the boot, and I'll show you what I've been doing. It's taken me about 5-6 hours, and it's all done now. So we've got our battery, we've got our positive terminal, that goes to a breaker. I'm actually not too sure if this breaker is too big. It's a 200 amp breaker, and this line goes all the way inside the car, up through under the fender, and into a distribution audio block, and that goes to a fuse, and then it will also go to the starter and the alternator. We've also got what I believe is a solid negative mounted to the chassis. So the negative wire goes all the way to the battery, then to this point on the chassis. You can see I've taken a bit of the paint off, and I'll probably just give it a bit of a spray to make it a little bit nicer, but you're not going to see it anyway because there's going to be a cover over everything. And then I've also installed my fuel pump relay. So here's our fuel pump relay. We've got the trigger wire just here. Haven't wired that in yet because I don't know which wire actually triggers the fuel pump from the factory. And then we're running a positive cable directly to the actual pump itself. There's our positive cable that is nicely covered. And then our negative from the fuel pump is also going to that same spot right there. It's also got a 30 amp fuse, which I've got disconnected at the moment because if I put the trigger wire on the actual battery itself, it triggers the fuel pump. It all works. And then the ground to the relay also goes to the chassis as well. The reason why I need a fuel pump relay is because the fuel pump is going to be drawing more amps and the factory wiring isn't going to be able to keep up. So what you do is you directly wire the pump to the positive terminal on the battery. So when the ECU triggers the relay, it directly connects the pump straight to the battery, giving you a nice clean connection and all the voltage in order to make your bigger fuel pump run. In terms of stuff in the engine bay, I've ran a vacuum line for the fuel pressure regulator that just goes to this plenum underneath to a fitting that I installed. I've also cleaned up some of the harness. Some of the factory tape that was used was all corroded and cooked. So I put on some new tape and I'm trying to like sort of tuck everything nicely. And I think I'm gonna run a different washer bottle because the standard one just looks gross. And I'll show you what I mean. This thing just goes in like that or something like, yep. It definitely tucks up a little bit more in there, but it's just crusty. And I think even a new one just wouldn't look good anyway. Even this coolant overflow that's brand new yeah, it doesn't really suit that nice. They come standard with a yellow cap and I painted it black. But yeah, it's not the best looking engine bay. That definitely being removed is going to be an improvement. But I'm trying to do as much as I can to make this build extra clean. Also mounted the AC lines because we are running AC on this build. I want nice, clean, cold air when I'm making 400 kilowatts in this beast. And also I forgot to show you this. When I turn the key on, obviously we've got the dash, I think I showed you that. But when I put my high beams on, the RB25 in the R32 has power. Headlights, baby. So cool. And look at this. Look who is here. A wild turkey. Nice, man. Nice.
I am assembling our new transmission jack.
Shout out Autobahn. We've got a transmission jack. Look at this thing. Need this thing to install trans? Oh, Nathan's just assembling it. Look at this. How high does it go?
1.8 meters, I think it is.
Oh my God. Look at it go, man. I don't think I'll be able to have the hoist all the way up.
Lift height raised 1.87.
1.8.
Almost 1.9.
Damn, bruh. Look at this thing. Wow, cars. At this point, I'm just trying to smash out this build because I want it done as soon as possible so I can take this thing for a drive again. We took it off the road in what, Feb? Was it?
Yeah, a few years ago, I think.
It was in Feb. Nathan's just salty because he's still working on his EF. 3-year project, guys. There's a few more things that I need to from home in order to finish this thing. So we're gonna head back home, go back to the OG spot. See you in a second. So I'm back at home, the Chaser is in the garage. Eventually it'll be moving to the shop, but we're here because we need to take some stuff off the RB20. Here is my RB20 that I got from Facebook that I originally swapped into the R32, but obviously now we're running an RB25. So luckily a lot of the parts are interchangeable and we need this backing plate that goes in between the bell housing and the engine. So I guess I'll remove that. Not much space in here anymore. There we go. Ugh. And this is what we need. Nice. So here's the plate that we needed off the RB20. I wanted to install the new clutch that we have for the RB25 today, but I just remembered that we need some flywheel bolts. So I need to get some ARP bolts. So we're gonna have to end it there. Thank you guys so much for watching the series. It's been a lot of work getting this R32 finished, but hopefully we get it done soon. Catch up.